Swallowed star. Pu was lazing about entirely in the throne, her white jade-like fingers gently tapping on the arm-rest, her gaze fixed on the three bodies below her, the space slightly warped and a space ripple with the power of origin laws of an undying covered the three bodies, with several cracks, they immediately became dust. That punk, he should be dead, however, he's only the interest. Pu muttered softly. Suddenly, hurried footsteps came from outside. Teacher! Teacher! Worried shouts came from outside the palace. Come in. Pu gently frowned, speaking. The one leading that rushed in was one dressed in purple decorative armor, a handsome youth, his eyes were sunken in, pupils green, on his forehead there was an engraving. This handsome youth's expression was filled with pain and rage. He rushed in and knelt hard on the floor, shouting, Teacher, please save my hometown, Mo-Cha planet. What's going on? Pu frowned. Your hometown Mo-Cha planet is a powerful planet with quite a few undyings, why do you need me to save it? Teacher, some of my clansmen unintentionally offended Mist Emperor's people, who'd expect the powerful Mist Emperor to come out personally and use his space techniques to place my entire planet, the entire planet, forced into his god country. The handsome youth was about to cry. Planet, the entire planet was forced into the god country. Even Pu was shocked. God country. That was the sole location of an undying. Sector lords had their internal world, undyings had their god countries. The moment their internal worlds collapsed, the sector lord would definitely die. The moment the god country collapsed, the weaker undyings would die. And some with techniques and treasures may survive, however their powers would be greatly reduced. To a point where they'd have no future. It could be said that, the god country was half of the undying's life. The god country had many uses. The reason the undyings were powerful was because the god countries were powerful. To force an entire planet in. Your planet, in Mist Emperor's god country, will have a very tragic end. Pu sat high in the throne looking down on her disciple. If it were simply destroying, he could easily use one punch to destroy it. However, he actually took the effort to place your planet into his god country. Unless he tortures it enough, he won't be satisfied. Just what did your clansmen do to offend him? Pu frowned. A small matter. The handsome youth knelt there and shouted tragically, there's always been some friction before, however the underlings of Mist Emperor would usually handle these small things. Who'd expect him to personally make a move, forcing the entire planet into the god country? Teacher, please save my planet. The handsome youth shouted. I cannot do anything. Pu shook her head. Teacher. The handsome youth's eyes were filled with tears. Pu looked at her disciple kneeling below, saying softly, I'll try. After which she closed her eyes, sending a thread of her consciousness into the virtual universe network. She looked for a good friend to speak to Mist Emperor. After a while. Leave. Pu opened her eyes and said. Teacher. The handsome youth looked up at Pu in the throne, his expression filled with hope. It's your clansmen's fault they offended Mist Emperor when he's in the worst mood. Pu frowned and ordered, no one can save them. The handsome youth gripped his fist. Leave. Pu ordered coldly. Yes. The handsome youth didn't dare speak another word, he feared offending this cold teacher of his, thus he left respectfully. Within the god country. An endless ocean, within were fragments of ice, there floated dark green majestic palaces, in the center of them was a 1,000,000 km tall dark green statue, Mist Emperor's statue. In the ocean over 100 million km away from the palaces was a planet with a diameter of over 30,000 kilometers floating. From it flew out many silhouettes that knelt in mid-air, constantly begging. Mist Emperor. Spare us. Mist Emperor. Spare our Mo-Cha planet. Mist Emperor. We have wronged. We have wronged. Mist Emperor. With dark green floating long hair, a square face, his eyes even madder than a space beast, he wore an exquisite long robe and stood in mid-air, coldly looking at the torture he was dishing out to Mo-Cha planet. Spare you? Wronged? He laughed suddenly. It's too late. Too late. Too late. Too late. Too late, his voice echoed constantly through the ears of the Mo-Cha warriors. The Undyings and Sector Lords were all in extreme pain, regret and hatred. However, they couldn't do anything. Mist Emperor, as an Emperor-level Undying, was too powerful. The power his god country held was even more shocking. Just the god country pressure alone made the Undyings unable to resist. 10,081 eras, over 100 million years. From my birth till now, this entire long period has only been 12,000 eras. To make me wait so long. The more he thought about it, the more he raged. He gripped his fists even tighter, causing the space to tremble so hard it felt like it was about to split apart. Just who is the bastard that took my slot? Who? Mist Emperor raged within, and that planet floating in mid-air, had an even more tragic fate ahead. In the vast universe, within the virtual universe company controlled absolute beginning region, Demon Mountain. Within one of the 32 inheritance palaces of Demon Note Mountain. Luo Feng was focused on receiving the inheritance. How would he know he'd taken Mist Emperor's slot? Even to the Emperor-level Undyings, 10,081 eras was a very long period of time. He had only lived for a total of 12,000 eras. It was akin to a 30-year-old preparing to get married. However, God ordered, don't rush, wait another 30 years, marry when you are 60. Who wouldn't be anxious? Who wouldn't be angry? Within the inheritance palace. Black mist engulfed the area, the many layers of stairs extended upwards. Finished another part. Luo Feng opened his eyes, face filled with glee. He became a beam of light and headed to a higher level. Pa! The moment he stepped on the flight of stairs, the deeper training methods once again poured in. Simultaneously a voice resounded within the space. Luo Feng turned to look. Mysterious words appeared in the space beside, similar to the style of words on the stone tablet before. Even though Luo Feng didn't recognize them, he instantly understood their meaning. Beginner. He was shocked. The summary of the words were: life form that have chosen to receive the inheritance, you've already received 1/10 of the first part of the Demon Note inheritance. The Demon Note General Inheritance has a total of 3 parts. To be able to completely finish the first part will earn you the beginner title, and receive the beginner reward. The end of the first part is in that distant temple. The beginner reward is right there. Work hard. Rumble. The stairs in which he stood on extended far away, and at this time it was still endless, level after level. Finally, far, far away, at the end of it, in that distant space, there was a temple of which was hard to see clearly with the naked eye. The first part had over 3,000 levels. A total of 3 parts. If the 2 later parts were the same, there would be over 10,000 levels. To finish all the stairs and finish the inheritance, how long would that take? Luo Feng couldn't help but be shocked. Saying is one thing. However, in truth, over 1 trillion years since Demon Mountain existed, with hundreds of thousands receiving the inheritance, yet none had ever fully completed it. Thinking so much is useless. I'll first complete the first part and become a beginner, then I'll receive the reward in that temple. Luo Feng was anticipating, this inheritance palace sure is something, the prize definitely wouldn't be bad. Who knows what it is? Treasure? Weapon? Armor? He didn't think anymore, continuing to immerse himself in training. 1 year's worth of work, even just a part of the inheritance alone made him feel that his power had risen greatly already. This inheritance was indeed a heavenly technique. If Luo Feng were to give it a price, it would truly be a priceless treasure. More than even the entire time-space scribbles. I really have to thank Mo Luo for that kick. Luo Feng exclaimed within. When he had first entered the inheritance palace, the Masha clansman had entered his internal world, the core resided within his earth body. Within Luo Feng's internal core. His soul, which had already condensed into a crystal ball, was engulfed in mist floating about. This was Luo Feng's spirit energy, countless amounts of energy condensed into engravings, large amount of them were permeating the crystal ball. Almost like venom infecting it, causing the ball to have slight changes as it absorbed the engravings. Even though the changes were little, it was constant and kept changing. Not even for a moment. Luo Feng's earth body and golden horned beast controlled the spirit energy to train their souls. It takes time to be tempered into steel. A piece of metal requires being broken down time and again molded over and over to become steel. At this time, Luo Feng's soul was going through this process. In training the supreme demon note technique, his soul was constantly changing and evolving, almost like a piece of metal being molded into steel. Such was the process his soul was undergoing. Similar to deities of the world, that too was a change in the body too. Unleashing it would shrink the body, causing the muscle and bone density, scales etc. to raise at an extreme rate. 99% of the basics of the supreme demon note technique was on changing the soul. Unleashing this would make one's soul control amplitude rise greatly. A normal sector lord's soul, using maximum power on assassination weapons, normally would able to control up to 100 of them. A normal sector lord's body amplitude was at most 100 times. When Luo Feng stood on the 100th level of stairs, his spirit energy amplitude had already reached 100, this, under the normal circumstances would be a sector lord's perfection. And now that he was over the 360th level, his spirit energy amplitude had already reached over 360. What did this mean? When he first arrived here, his amplitude was only 70 to 80, right now it was over 360. It had jumped 5 times. A simple comparison, when he first began he only had 1 gun. Now he had 5. His spirit energy usage speed was 5 times from before. It's akin to 5 against 1. Luo Feng looked at the stairs that extended forever, looking at the distant space and the shrine at the end of it, he couldn't help but get excited. Cackle, True Yen Emperor. A strange piercing cold laughter resounded within the room. 2 people walked up from the stairs. A skinny skeleton like human with eyes like 2 balls of flames, his chin with a goat's beard. He donned a golden robe and held 2 golden round balls that he fiddled with. Behind him was a handsome youth, Mo Luo. Mo Luo, even though he was already old, because of his bloodline, he would still look like a youth. You've come, True Yen shot a glance. Cackle, True Yen Emperor, you are looking for my disciple this time, it means you need a favor from me. Before me, don't be ugly. The golden-robed skinny old man cackled, lying in the sofa beside and ordering, staff, leave us. Yes. The staff all obediently left, leaving only 3 in the room, True Yen, Mo Luo, and Mo Luo's teacher. If it weren't for my disciple Luo Feng, I'd be too lazy to meet you, seeing you disgusts me. True Yen laughed coldly. Cackle, what an honor. The old man mocked. This old man was also a very powerful man within the virtual universe company. He too had passed the 20th level of the heavenly bridge, close to becoming a knight. His name was Prison Emperor. The two had always been rivals, extremely talented. Of which True Yen was direct and straightforward, intrepid in reputation. Prison Emperor was more known for being evil and treacherous. These two were both incredibly close to becoming knights. Amongst the emperors, they were amongst the pinnacle. They were strong in their own ways. Naturally, Tru Yen was able to use his strength to suppress his enemy, but it would be hard for him to actually kill him. Speak. Tru Yen glanced at Mo Luo behind Prison Emperor. You said your disciple Mo Luo went to Demon Mountain and even met my disciple Luo Feng. Tell me, when did they meet? Under what circumstance? Anxious? The strange old man looked at Tru Yen. Humph. Tru Yen snorted coldly. He was indeed anxious. This was because the Virtual Universe Company had informed him earlier that Luo Feng had been in Demon Note Mountain for over a year, but he hasn't answered or given any notice, and the impossible level missions were extremely dangerous. The moment they were hit by the powerful demon notes, they would unconsciously become zombies. Under normal circumstance, these geniuses would occasionally enter the Virtual Universe network. However, over this year, Luo Feng hadn't entered once. This made the Virtual Universe Company suspect. Was he dead? Under such circumstances, there were two answers. 1. Luo Feng was dead. Naturally, he couldn't answer. 2. He was immersed in training and shut off all communication to not be distracted by anything. Anxious? The golden-robed old man mocked. Looks like your disciple has yet to reply to you. Actually, not having a response doesn't mean he's dead. He might be locked in training or something. Ah! Prison Emperor slapped his head. I must be old and senile. Your disciple is in Demon Note Mountain. In that place, there's demon notes everywhere. There's no place to stop and train at all, much less immerse himself in training. Since he cannot train, then, he should be dead. Tru Yan's expression grew heavy, his eyes shot golden light, roaring, Prison Emperor, I wish to speak to only your disciple and you are forcing your way in. I'm showing you respect by speaking to you. Don't push it. Cackle, you must be anxious. The old man waved his hand, my good disciple, tell him. Yes. Mo Luo bowed respectfully. Tru Yen Emperor. Mo Luo bowed. Tru Yen looked at the respectful Mo Luo. He couldn't help but glance at Prison Emperor, such a good disciple, he'll be a wreck under you. Humph. The golden-robed old man couldn't bear to smile. Speak. Tru Yen looked at Mo Luo. When did you see Luo Feng? Tru Yen Emperor. Mo Luo said respectfully. 1 year ago. 1 year ago. Tru Yen frowned. The notice the Virtual Universe Company gave was also about a year ago, that Luo Feng hadn't entered the Virtual Universe since. 1 year. With Tru Yan's long lifespan, 1 year was simply too short. However, in such an environment such as Demon Note Mountain, 1 year was indeed too long. I'm currently still in Demon Note Mountain. Mo Luo said respectfully, however, I haven't seen Luo Feng since. Ah. Tru Yan's frown grew deeper. Humph, Tru Yen, you may not know, your disciple actually tried to sabotage my disciple before in Demon Note Mountain. Prison Emperor said. Sabotage? Tru Yen stared hard at Mo Luo. My disciple Luo Feng tried to sabotage you. Mo Luo was somewhat nervous. Don't be afraid. Prison Emperor sat in the sofa, lifting a wine glass and casually waving his hand. Your teacher is here, that ape man cannot touch you, say the entire story. Speak honestly. Tru Yen stared at Mo Luo. One day. I heard a beast howl and I knew someone had encountered a beast. Mo Luo took a deep breath, obviously he was nervous. I had encountered this many times, this time I carefully sneaked over to observe. However, the person I saw was actually using a cloud contact vine. I immediately guessed that this person definitely wasn't an aboriginal. A universe level 9 aboriginal definitely wouldn't have a domain lord level 9 assisting plant life form. Mo Luo said, hence, I helped, with the two of us combined, we defeated the beast and we fled from the scene. When he saw me, he immediately recognized me. And he changed to his original form. It was actually Luo Feng. To meet our own people in Demon Note Mountain, I was very happy. I chatted with him for a while as we fled as the beast would regenerate and chase after us. However, I didn't expect. Mo Luo was shivering. Tru Yen frowned. While my guard was down, while we were fleeing together, he suddenly attacked me. At close distance, I couldn't defend in time, I was instantly heavily injured. And I fought hard to protect myself after. Mo Luo shook his head. Actually, in that instant I was attacked, I understood. He was probably thinking of me as an opponent in the qualification battles. Getting rid of me would mean he would have a greater chance of entering the primal region. Cackle, Tru Yen, you've heard it. The golden-robed old man laughed coldly. Tru Yen looked at the obedient Mo Luo standing before him. He actually had a good feeling about this primal region genius. However, the story he told earlier made Tru Yen frown. He ordered, "What you said is true." Tru Yen Emperor Elder. Mo Luo bowed. Under my teacher's questioning, only then did I reveal this story. Other than you two, I haven't told anybody else. Humph. Tru Yen snorted coldly. Go, all of you. Cackle, angry. Tru Yen, you are raging. Cackle. The golden-robed skinny old man laughed arrogantly. Mo Luo remained bowed. Tru Yen squinted, gold light glowing. Cackle, let's go. The skinny old man laughed and vanished. Mo Luo too vanished, leaving only Tru Yen in the room. His expression was cold, speaking softly. If I hadn't known my disciple for so many years, I would really have suspected. However, Luo Feng, that punk, is definitely, amongst my disciples, the one with the strongest beliefs. He does things the most straightforward and cleanly, the one with the most principles. After being with his disciple for so long, he really respected this student. Heart like a mirror, seeing through everything. Heart like a blade, slicing through illusions. Anyone who's able to reach such a stage would do things with the most principles. Such a person would have the pride of a warrior. Even if he wanted to get into the primal region, he would do it with his own strength. He definitely wouldn't try and secretly kill or backstab another to attain victory. Student, I believe you are still alive. There must have been something special that's happened in Demon Note Mountain that's held you up. Tru Yen said softly. In his mind a thought flashed through his head. Of the 32 inheritance palaces in Demon Note Mountain, he had just come to know that there was one that had an unknown life form. If that unknown life form was his student, then that was the best outcome. I really know how to ponder. He shook his head. My student was able to reach Fantasy Ocean's 10th island before failing. If that Mo Luo could survive till now, he definitely can too. Time passed. Day by day, year after year. Only when the soul had special qualities would he be able to unleash those special techniques. In the blink of an eye, 3 years passed. In an underground ice cave below Demon Mountain, a massacre had just ended. Mo Luo gently flicked off the blood from his fingertips, looking at the body below. You are only an aboriginal, dying by my absolute genius hands is your honor. If it weren't for the 10k black tags reward, I wouldn't bother to attack you. Mo Luo swiftly took the space belt and scanned it with his spirit energy. 31 black tags. He immediately revealed a look of mad glee. My luck is really good. He gripped his fists excitedly. I lacked only 30 tags and this aboriginal had 31. The automaton weapon I specially bought for this Demon Mountain was indeed a worthy investment. Even though I can only use it once. However, I successfully killed 2 sector lords and made my black tags acquirement much easier. 10,000 black tags, it's finally enough. Mo Luo's eyes gleamed. It's been 3.5 years since I entered Demon Mountain. Whether it was checking out the structure and environment of Demon Mountain, ensuring he stayed in the safest regions, or backstabbing Luo Feng, or assassinating the sector lords, everything was perfect. No one can stop me. Mo Luo muttered softly, my teacher is stupid, treacherous and evil. If you let others know you are treacherous, then that wouldn't be treacherous anymore, that's simply stupid. After which, he turned and swiftly began his route back. The way back was easy. Because during his time in Demon Note Mountain, whether it was the Aboriginals or the Virtual Universe Company Majesties, they would swiftly record down their paths. With a warrior's memory and calculating abilities, following the paths they had taken before, intersections etc., they can all swiftly form an incomparably clear map in their minds. With this map, they can find a safe and close way to return swiftly. When Mo Luo flew out of a particular cave, there were staff there immediately awaiting to welcome him. Your Majesty Mo Luo. Your Majesty Mo Luo, this way. The staff accompanied Mo Luo and quickly a white-robed youth came to welcome him. It was the Yi Chang that had welcomed Luo Feng. Your Majesty Mo Luo. The white-robed youth smiled and led the way. You've spent over 3 years in Demon Note Mountain, Chang respects you. Mo Luo smiled and nodded, thanks for leading the way, I've already collected over 10,000 black tags. 10,000 black tags. The white-robed youth was greatly shocked. My God! Collecting 10,000 tags was simply too difficult, because even those that spent on getting E-grade lasers would find it hard to achieve. As the E-grade lasers usually had preparation time, and in that instant, that was enough for a Sector Lord warrior to kill them easily. Sector Lord and Universe Level 9, the difference was too much. Hence collecting the 10,000 tags was a lot harder than surviving for 3 years. Shocking prize? What treasures? Mo Luo was interested. I don't have the authority to know. The white-robed youth said softly. However, I've heard it is shocking. Hurry and lead the way. Mo Luo was anxious after hearing it. Yes. When Mo Luo left Demon Mountain to acquire the treasure, Luo Feng was in the greatest treasure of Demon Mountain itself, receiving the Demon Note inheritance. Inheritance staircase. The many levels of stairs extended into space, all the way to that tiny little shrine. What do I do? I'm reaching my limit. Luo Feng stood on the 1129th level of stars, looking back at the little blur of steps behind, and looking back up at the distant stairs ahead, he couldn't help but frown. According to the Supreme Demon Note technique information, I can probably at most accept another 1 to 200 levels and that would be my limit. Luo Feng was helpless. When he first began, he came to know of many things. To reach such a stage, 99% of them were undying. The many undyings couldn't even succeed, just how hard was this? The Demon Note inheritance had harsh requirements on the soul. And the absorption of Blood River crystals had harsh requirements on the body. In Blood River world, it was hard to find anyone able to absorb 10 crystals. And the Golden Horned Beast actually absorbed over 90. This was because of the special properties of its cells in the body. The Demon Note inheritance was looking for an absolute genius with a soul capable of completely absorbing it. If such a genius was able to complete it, he would become a unique and all-powerful Demon Note general. The inheritance had high requirements. And the soul of undyings had all gone through the evolution of breakthrough from Sector Lord to undying. Hence almost every undying had souls stronger than Luo Feng's, much stronger. Many undyings were stuck at the end of the first set. Some of them were stuck at the second. Very few actually made it to the third. There wasn't a life form that had completed the third yet. And Luo Feng. With a soul of only domain level 9, not even experiencing the greatest evolution of soul, from Sector Lord to Undying. Hence, his soul was simply too much weaker than the Undying's. Luckily he had gone through the Primal Chaos City's true spirit absorption, hence his consciousness and spirit energy control was very strong, thus he was able to make it to level 1129. However, the moment his soul felt fatigued, it would mean his absorption limit was almost at 90%, this was the information provided. I've already felt it, I'm reaching my limit. My limit should be between about 1200 to 1300. Luo Feng thought, and this first level should still have about over 3000 levels. His limit could only withstand 1/3 of the first part. There was no way. This inheritance was intended for Undyings, his soul was only domain level 9 and he rushed in, if he could take more that would be absurd. What do I do? Luo Feng looked up and ahead. However, one had to finish the first part to acquire it. I'm still over 2.000 levels away from the shrine. And my limit can only take 1 to 200 more levels. Luo Feng pondered as he trained. To do so only slowed his training down slightly. I can't accept this. Such an encounter. The virtual universe has so many Undying stationed here, and this place has trillions of beasts gathered. This inheritance is so heavenly. I definitely cannot ever get such a chance again. He quickly calculated in his mind, seeing if there was a way to accept more of the inheritance. Accepting the inheritance to levels 1200 to 1300, reaching his limit and leaving, this was something he couldn't accept. However, how could he change the limits of his soul?